I have here a great alternative to the ATEM Mini Pro. Let's talk about it. What's up guys, welcome back to the channel. If you're new here, my name is Craig and I like to cover all things tech and all things camera gear related. So let's get into it. I have here with me today the SPROLINK NEOLIVE R2 Plus. Now SPROLINK did send this out to me for free to review, but I'm under no obligation to say anything nice or kind about it. Everything I say here today will just be my own opinion. Now the Neolive R2 Plus is a video switcher that allows you to connect up to 4 different cameras to a switcher, and you can switch in between those cameras. But on top of that, you're able to live stream directly from the device with no computer, no laptop needed. Being able to do this independently can be a godsend for those of you who live stream at corporate events, or maybe at your church, or maybe you just live stream for yourself. If you're new to this, this will give you a nice compact setup that you can take with you on location and quickly configure and get yourself up and going. For those of you who are much more experienced and who do this on a larger scale, I'm sure you're used to bringing a lot more equipment, laptops, power banks and power cords and all that sort of thing. You may already have some of your favorite gear, but this may be something that you can add to your arsenal and make things easier for you. The R2 Plus has a 5.5-inch screen. It has 4 HDMI inputs and 2 HDMI outputs. In my opinion, it's nice and solid. It has a solid build. Even though it's plastic, it feels nice and high quality, and I have no worries about whether this thing's going to get damaged in transport to and from the job site. It also has 2 microphone inputs. It also has a USB port so that you can connect a thumb drive so that you can display any media that you have or upload any custom graphics to the system. I don't want to ramble on too long. Let's take a look at the unit and see how it operates. All right, so I have everything set up, everything configured and connected. And so let me just go ahead and walk through all the features we have here. So I'm going to start here on the right hand side here. Here you have the menu button. So from here is where you can choose to set all of your settings, as many settings as possible. There's a lot to configure here. There's a lot of fine details that you can get into. But quickly, let me show you. When you click on the menu button, you use this knob here to go back and forth to select what you need. So if I click with the knob, here you can set under input, you can set your input settings from your various cameras. I have these set to 1080p, 60 frames per second. And actually the third camera here, I have it set to 30 frames per second. One of the cool things that they have here is that not only can you make those settings, but you're able to inverse the image. You're able to flip the image. See that there? So for whatever reason you need to send a reverse image, a mirrored image out, you can do that. I'm gonna go ahead and set that back there. Hopefully that was the original setup here. My t-shirt says Boys in the Hood, so hopefully it's not backwards or anything for you guys. But so you hit the menu button again, it kind of backs you outward and onto the next thing. So output, again, you can set your output resolution and frame rate for your various cameras. And over here on the right, you can set your color space. So I have it set to RGB full, and that's what I'm going to leave it at for now. And let me back up out of that. Next up, you have layer. And then here you can set your various options for example, the T-bar mode. The T-bar operates in 2 different modes. So right now, I have a preview monitor set up. I have myself here in camera 1 and the overhead camera here in camera 2. And if I wanted to switch over to 1, you do this T-bar movement here. And you can also change the button here to easy mode. So what that does is it just allows you to pick the button you want and instantly switch over. So right now I have 3 cameras set up. I have the Ozbot. It's sort of a webcam slash pan PTZ cams, pan tilt zoom cam. But I have that set up here on my desk. And on 4th input, I don't have a camera, but I do have it plugged into I will plug it into my iPod. Or iPad. I don't have that set just yet. But some of the other options you have here, also selecting your HDMI inputs and your masking your picture-in-picture masking sizes and things like that. Over here to effect, here you can choose your various effects, the durations. Effects, maybe it's not the best name for it. It's actually sort of your transitions between switching your inputs. So let me select that there. You notice there's this white type motion, and you, like I said here, you can set the duration and the edge softness and things like that. I'm gonna increase the edge softness so you guys see that. So you can soften that up, or you can make it a hard edge. I'm gonna set that to about 50% because I think it's kind of cool. Let me back up. Let me go back here to the various effects there. Some of them can be kind of corny, but I guess this depends on what you like. Here's one we could choose. So it does this kind of circle fade in. But yeah, it's something you can play around with. I think I'm gonna take it back here to, I like that. I kind of like the short fade to black thing that happens there. So moving on to the next area, you have your chroma key, your key settings. So your chroma and luma key settings are in here. I'm not gonna mess around with that, but you can basically choose the settings and get that configured how you like. Also here, next up you have audio, and you can adjust the audio settings for the various inputs, the program monitor. You have 2 mic inputs, and yeah, you're able to change those settings to suit the situation that you're, recording in. I have my mic actually set to 0 there. I needed to kind of boost that up a little bit with the microphone that I'm using. Next up you have scenes. So here under scenes, this is actually pretty cool. This is the first switcher that I've used that has this feature. You're able to go in and set these sort of picture-in-picture modes. So I'm gonna choose this one here just for the fun of it. I see it's pulling from input 4. Let me go ahead and hook that up real quick. So you see my input 4 is a, let me switch to it. So basically you get this picture-in-picture setup. Right now it's configured for input 4. So you can see here on the right hand side, you have, my iPad is displaying its screen, and here on the left, we get this top down camera. So you could see how this could be useful if maybe you had 2 talking people, maybe 2 talking heads on the screen, or maybe it's an instructional type video. So you have a talking head in one window and instructions, or people following along, kind of a screen grab going on the other window. So it's pretty creative. It's actually pretty cool. I'm gonna go ahead and switch this back here to none there. And then here on the right hand side, you're able to save some of your favorite scenes, and then you're able to save them and then load them up for quick access. I don't have any configured, but it is a pretty cool option here. Next up, you have media. Here you can choose your logos and load them into the screen, into the switcher here, and you can load some background images and things like that. If you wanted to, let me back out here. I'll just quickly hit the logo key. You see the logo I have there that pops up on the screen. So if you need to display something, there you go, your logo or a live logo or anything, any kind of graphic you need to display there. Next up, you have the camera PTZ. So I have 3 cameras here, but only one of them have PTZ pan, tilt, zoom capability. So you can set your camera up there, which I've already done. And then under system, you have the ability to set the language, of course, your time and IP addresses for your network here, brightness, fan speed, and brightness for the buttons. So you have all those settings here. So that's a basic rundown of the menu here. Now, looking at the switcher itself, you can see here I demonstrated the modes button already. So right now I have it set to easy mode. And it's kind of cool that you can still, just discovered that I can still use the T-bar if I wanted to. But if you don't want anybody accidentally touching the buttons and just using the T-bar, you can set it up like that. Next up is your effect. Those are the effects that I was showing you earlier. You can quick access, this is a quick access button that'll take you right to that portion without having to dig through the menu setting. Still is actually pretty cool. I hit that, it'll do a screen grab. And so for whatever reason, if you needed to grab an image, take a quick screen capture, so to speak, just hit the still button And there you go. Next up, you have the chroma button. Of course, you can hit that and select your green screen options. And I don't have a background loaded into the switcher. I should have did that for you guys. But basically, you hit the chroma button and you're able to switch over to chrome keying and, you know, put a fake background behind you, just like a lot of streamers do, gamers, that sort of thing. So next up, you have the logo. I showed you that before. And here's your media button. This is the default graphic that was loaded into the switcher when I bought it. So it's there by default. I'm gonna switch that out, of course, with something of my own liking. And lastly, here on the left, you have the picture-in-picture button here. So again, it's one of those options that you can set up like before. And we'll move over to the side here. So if for whatever reason, maybe you're talking about the setup here, or you can do some other configurations with the picture-in-picture options. Again, with the scene options and things like that. So let me go ahead and turn that off. Now the buttons here on the side, again, basically they all take you into the menu to configure and or use. So if I hit the scene button, it takes us to the scene settings that we were looking at before. You hit it again to back out, and then your PTZ settings. I do have a PTZ camera. So if I switch over to, what's that, camera 3, and here's the kind of a look around my studio there. Kind of dark and messy back there. So on one side there, we'll spin it all the way around. So this is actually a pretty neat kind of setup here. There's a camera I'm filming with, and of course my desktop over there in the background. And one of the cool things that I find that you can do with this is you can also preset the camera positions. So I have this already preset. If I click it one time, it's on myself here. I turn it to 2, camera 2 position. It's actually down here to the switcher. And then if I take it one more time, camera 3 position, it's all preset to look back there in the background. So I love this part of it. I love this, man. And then I actually set 4th position to, for whatever reason, just look at the camera here I have on the top down version. So, or the top down view. So I take it back to 1. It should come right back to me there. So yeah, it's pretty awesome. I'll turn that off. As far as the PTZ, no need to keep going through that. Here, these are selection arrows for the various times you're in the different parts of the menu and things like that. I have the record button going because you're able to record everything you're doing here to an SD card, or I'm sorry, a thumb drive here on the side. So I have this thumb drive that is recording everything that I'm doing as I switch between the cameras, things like that. So it's just pretty incredible. Put that back. Record, pause. So there's the record button. Like I said, I have that running already. And with the pause button, you can pause the recording and then unpause it, continue and pick up where you left off. If I hit the record button again, it'll stop recording. But I want to keep that going, so I'm gonna keep it going. Also here, you have a live stream button. I already have this configured, so I'm not going to go into it. But if you go into the menu and come all the way over to system, and once you're in there, you can scroll over to network, and there's streaming. So from there, you can set your streaming settings. I have it set to H.264, 60 frames per second, and a bit rate of 10 megabits per second. And then more importantly, you have your streaming information here. You have 2 URLs you can use, so you're able to live stream the 2 devices, or I'm sorry, the 2 accounts at the same time. I have mine configured to live stream to YouTube and also my Facebook. So I don't want to bring that up because it's got my streaming information in there, but you guys get the picture. You back that up. Next up, you have your audio settings. Again, you can reach this from inside the menu, or you can hit this quick button here. And so the power button doubles as a lock button. So you see there, it's flashing. I have everything locked, so no one can walk up if you happen to be somewhere set up and walk away to do something. No one can walk up and make changes, any changes to what you have set up here. You got to be careful because if you hold the power button, you hold it for about 3 seconds, it'll power everything down. But a little bit scary, but when you first do it, you get the lock option first. So boom, it's locked, and then you hold it again, unlocked. So, and then here on the left side, you have your volume and your channel A and channel B settings, but this also doubles as a menu selector also, depending on what menu you're in. You can change the values using these buttons here, these knobs here on the side. So looking here at the top, you have, see if I can show you guys, you have the top inputs and outputs. You have 4 HDMI inputs, 1, 2, 3, 4, and then you have 2 HDMI outputs. Now I have one going to this monitor here, but if I wanted, I could have one maybe going to a TV or some sort of display or off to another computer, just whatever works for you. Next up, I have Ethernet plugged in here. That gives me, of course, internet access so that I can live stream. But if you didn't need to live stream, you could do all this and just record to your SD card. So, of course, you have power here. On the right side here, mic 1 and mic 2. So you have 2 mic inputs, and then you have headphone jack so that you can monitor audio. Then you have a connection for tally. One thing I didn't go over just yet is another thing that they've added, another awesome thing that you can do. I have it set up here to I have it connected to my iPad, and from the iPad, I've gone to the web version, the web server that's built in to this box. So what you can do from the web is you can configure the switcher without actually having to be at the switcher. The one thing I can say I'm a little disappointed in the browser. I mean, I hope that they're adding more functionality to it, because everything is not here. Everything you're able to do is not here. But if you notice, I do have a few options here. So I can go in and change the audio settings. I can load media from here. If I wanted to load up the logos, that's the only logo I have loaded right now, and maybe some lower thirds or backgrounds. You're able to load that stuff up. And when I go over here to the main screen here, you do have some options. For example, I could click that, and then if you notice the screen on the switcher, it is now locked. If I hit it again, it should unlock, that sort of thing. So you can play around with some of the settings and just switch right here from a laptop. I'm using the iPad, so I'm thinking for whatever reason, the browser here is displaying kind of funky actually on my iPad. It looks a little different on a computer, but it's the same standard setup here. Let me do it long way. So that's what it looks like on the iPad, but when I turn it long way, it gets kind of messed up there. So it's probably better to just use a computer, because it displays a lot better from your computer. I don't have my laptop over here, but I just wanted to show you guys that is an option. Hopefully they expand on this, because like I said, it's missing some of the options that you have here on the device. You can't do everything from the web, but it would be nice if you could. If you're wondering how I set up my audio, I am using this wireless transmitter, and it's plugged into the audio input, the microphone input on the side, and I'm wearing a lav mic underneath my shirt here. So the audio seems to be working well. And when you do it this way, I could connect it to the camera, but if I do it this way, I have audio on each screen that I switch to. I feel like I've been talking like an hour, but hopefully I answered all the questions. If you guys have any other questions about what this can and can't do, please drop me a comment below. I'm not going to pretend to be an expert on this, but I've been using it for quite a while, and I've gotten through most of the settings and gotten some experience using this. So I probably can answer your question. If not, I'll look into it and find out for you. So that's how everything works. I gotta say, I'm happy. I'm excited to have this as a part of my kit. If you take a look at my channel, you can see that I've covered some other live streaming gear, but right now I have to say this is by far my favorite, and I don't think anybody can go wrong by picking this up. Now, if I forgot to cover something, you guys please leave me a comment asking whatever questions you may have. I'd be happy to go over them. I'd be happy to answer them. I try to cover as much as possible, but this thing has so many features. Sometimes maybe I forgot something, maybe I skipped over something, and I'm not going to be aware of that until much later. Anyway, thank you guys for watching. I appreciate your support. I appreciate you spending your time here on my channel, and I hope I've been helpful. Well, that's it for now. I'll see you guys in the next video. Peace.